Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so John Wall is essentially saying he wants to get back on the court for the Houston Rockets. You guys haven't traded me, so I want to essentially let you guys know I'm available to get back out there. Um, it's interesting to me because, on this channel, we've been talking a lot about John Wall. And one of the things that I've been saying that I thought was going on was John Wall and his team had probably recognized that he was the best trade piece available at the time for the Philadelphia 76ers. Checked off a lot of boxes for them as I saw it. Um, Based on his ability to facilitate, his ability to play defense, his contracts, and Ben Simmons' contracts being matchable, could swap them. The fact of the matter is that I didn't think that the Philadelphia 76ers would be able to get a good deal for Ben Simmons based on him being a salary dump. So my thinking was maybe if they do a deal with the Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey's old squad, um, he would be able to probably facilitate that deal and be able to get it done without giving up assets for Ben Simmons. Since essentially Ben Simmons is a high value salary dump with question marks surrounding his character at this time, I guess is the way you look at it. So for me, it was like, okay, these are the only two teams that are going to be able to do this deal with one another. Walls people sees this, they request a trade, making themselves available. Unfortunately, Philadelphia started winning, and as a result, became it became even more clear that they had no intention of trading Ben Simmons. So now John Wall's kind of just stuck out here, um, healthy, ready to play after sitting for almost 3 years. Came back for a quick minute. The team wasn't any good. Had a quick surgery, I guess, on his knee once again, as the team was basically tanking. There was no sense in having him out there as a win now player on a high contract. So they set him and had intentions of trading him. His people, and obviously they were the ones initiating that. Everybody was on the same page, but they can't get a trade for him since there's really no one else that would want John Wall's salary uh, other than the Philadelphia 76ers based on their specifics of their circumstance, or maybe of course, the Brooklyn Nets might be involved if they could, you know, maybe make a deal for Kyrie Irving, but that's not something they'd be willing to do with everything surrounding that situation there. So now you have a John Wall who's holding out in a year where he needs to be on the floor. So he recognizes that, and his conditioning is where he wants it to be. So he's ready to get back on the floor and help the Rockets and hopefully make himself available to be attractive as a trade piece. Um, you know, that's really what he can do. Remind everybody what it is that he can do and get himself in a position to play basketball at least for the team that he's on. And I think he can help that team quite a bit, given the fact that they have a lot of young players. Kevin Porter has kind of been in and out of the lineup, and it seemed to me that was a perfect opportunity for John Wall to have stepped on the court and run around then. I think people try very hard to stay true to their plans, but when things change, you just got to get out there. I think this was an opportunity they could have taken advantage of 2 weeks ago when KP was out. Now KP is back running around. And now John Wall's talking about he wants to play ball. Like, no, bro. This should have been done 3 weeks ago when the kid went down with the ankle. That could have been 2 good weeks for you to show everybody what you could do without him out there. The whole purpose of all of this was to make sure that you're not on the floor while he's on the floor, so that you're not stunning his growth. I think that's what the point of all of this was in terms of the Houston Rockets, why they would agree to do something like this. Because their timeline is just all about the kids. And if John Wall gets hurt, well, you definitely can't trade him going forward. You know what I mean? You want to trade him while he's healthy. You want to, and since he's such damaged goods, you certainly don't blame the Houston Rockets for not only wanting to part ways with him, but also shutting him down. But at the same time, it's like, as we all know, as we talked about many times, you can't raise your trade value if you're not playing. So best thing for him to do is to get out there, and that's what he's trying to do. And you see this all over the league in various situations. You see this with Marvin Bagley as well. They're putting him back on the floor. He's going to run around and show what he can do. And I think Ben Simmons is eventually going to have to do the same thing. So I just think this is the new norm. You know what I mean? I think this is something that we're going to learn to understand, that when guys want to leave these places, holding out in the NBA doesn't make as much sense for you. You want to be on display. You want to make sure that you put yourself in a position to at least show what your strengths are so someone can covet you. Because it doesn't matter what you were able to do 2 years ago, because the reality is we know how quickly things can change from player to player. We see examples all over the league. So there's no reason for someone of sound mind to say, okay, this guy's been hurt for 2 years, he's going to come back the same guy. We see Klay Thompson trying to work his way back right now. And there was a, sequence where you saw yesterday on the news media were talking about how he was hanging his head, trying to work his way back into shape. The struggles are there for him in whatever way, shape, or form. And you can understand that. He's used to being able to hold down a certain level of physicality defensively, being able to do certain things, and his body's going to have to get back in shape. And you don't know if he'll ever recover. You know what I mean? I think he's aware of that. So it's like, just because we saw him as what he used to be, sure, we hope he's coming back to be that player, and we believe he can be. But we've also seen circumstances where other guys have not come back and been themselves. So, we hope for the KD route. KD's an MVP candidate. He's come back from a very serious Achilles injury. So, it's just a lot of things. At the end of the day, you don't want to be overly cautious with yourself and end up letting your prime years pass you by while you're trying to wait for an opportunity to be with a winner. It's best to just continue to stay in ball shape. If you're in shape, get out there. You know what I mean? And for all of the hard work that he's put in to get back to where he wants to be, I don't think waiting for that opportunity is the best way to keep that shape that you put yourself in. I think ultimately you got to get back out there and run, and that's what it's about. He's already paid, so from his perspective, it doesn't hurt him to go out there and play. If things go wrong, the money's set. Now on the organization side of things, it does. So it's going to be interesting to see how long they have him on roster, how long it is before they're able to get a deal for him. I'm expecting they're going to want to do that still. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes open on John Wall's situation. I do not think Philadelphia is looking to acquire him if he decides to up and play like old John Wall from here on out. I just think that where Tyrese Maxey is in his production at this stage in the season has shown us that now they can pivot in a different direction with their point guard search entirely. To trade Ben Simmons does not require them to bring back a point guard anymore, and that's just where I'm at with it. At the beginning of the season, that's where I was thinking, Maxey couldn't facilitate, Maxey wasn't quite ready. Nah, that's not what happened. Maxey, not long after I made those declarations, he started to up his assist total and really play well. And part of that is because he was coming back from injury. If I'm not mistaken, he had a little injury he was trying to come back from and has worked his way back completely. So he's playing the full minutes that he should have had, the entire time. And suddenly Philadelphia is turning into a great landing spot for the young player rather. So, yeah, that's not a good spot for John Wall no more. Now he would be, in theory, getting in the way of him, just like he, in theory, is getting in the way of KPJ. So you just want to see John Wall find himself in a situation where he can be a leading guard once again. I can think of many situations that he would be great in. The best one in my mind is the Clippers, no question about it. Simply because they could use a facilitating point guard like him. They could use another defensive player like him. He can play multiple positions in that guard, 1 and 2 basically. That would be great because they have interchangeable guards already, but none of them are facilitators per se. I think the way Reggie Jackson's been playing, which is fantastic, and Eric Bledsoe, to me, is expendable, to be completely honest with you. I could bring in a John Wall and upgrade there if I wanted to, or keep all 3 of them in rotation and feel real good about my guard lineup. So this is a situation where I'm just looking and I'm saying, if only John Wall's contract were more condensed so that he can fit himself into a situation like that and contribute to something really good. Because even with Kawhi not down there, you give me PG and a healthy John Wall, and I feel really good about the Clippers making the playoffs and maybe even getting out of the first round with Ty Lue as their coach. Right now, they're doing a lot with very little, in my opinion, overachieving, to be completely honest with you. And I just feel like John Wall, that's the spot I would want to go to if I were him and his people. So, I don't know. That's not possible because his contract, obviously, in their cap situation. But just in theory, that would be the best spot in mind. So, that's where my head is. I think ultimately the Houston Rockets, they have a new GM in place. I've liked the vision that they've had for this young squad, but I just don't know how successful they're going to be in getting rid of that contract. Um, I'm of the mindset that contracts like that require you, the one who holds it, to give up assets, as already mentioned in regards to the Philly scenario. So I think they're going to have to do that. They're going to have to let go of someone or some picks or something in order to effectively get rid of John Wall if they're not able to swap it for one of those disgruntled not point guards, one of those disgruntled contracts that we've discussed, who happen to be point guards. So it's one of those situations where I say, nope, neither one of those are going to happen. So I can totally see this end up being a situation where he just plays his contract out with that team. I mean, KPJ is going to have to just, like the rest of the young players, work around him. And he'll have to work around them because I don't think it's a tradable contract. And I essentially think that's what they're saying. They're waving the white flag in terms of trading him entirely. And they're bringing him back just so he can continue to play ball. And hopefully raise his trade value. But as I say, even in raising his trade value, it's not about him as a player. You know what I mean? It's about that contract. What you would have to do is he would have to play up to the contract once again. And I just don't see that role even possible with the Houston Rockets based on KPJ. So round and round circles we talk. I think at the end of the day, John Wall is still a player that has a lot of juice in the tank. I don't think he's done. I think his leg injuries have healed. It's been a lot of time. He's had a lot of time to get back in shape. He's shown last year that he had his speed and his ability to continue doing the things that he does. So, yeah, I still think he can contribute. And I think it's just a limited amount of places he can really go to be himself. That's the problem. A lot of young point guards out there. So, yeah, man, that's what I got. That's what I think. The Pelicans keep coming to mind. I just feel like when they lost Lonzo Ball, they really lost something that allowed their offense to have a lot of cohesiveness. Now, granted, they've gotten better since they've gotten Brandon Ingram back, but I look at them and I say they really wanted Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry was a fantastic shooter. John Wall's not a fantastic shooter, but all the other stuff that Kyle Lowry would have been for their team, John Wall can do those things. And John Wall and Brandon Ingram, talking about all the shooting that they have with some of the young players that they'll be able to keep. If they were able to retain Devontae Graham, I like that. Obviously, you guys know what I think of Trey Murphy. I just think that just off the top of my head, that wouldn't be the worst spot for him. Being that they were all ready to go all in and overpay for Kyle Lowry. It's kind of like doing the same thing here. You know what I mean? So if I'm the Pelicans and I'm David Griffin, maybe I kick the can around to see what type of deal I can get for John Wall, depending on what the deal looks like. Maybe I actually take a look at it. You know, their cap situation is a little tricky, but I do think that if they want the most out of Zion Williamson, they're going to have to give him more than B.I. right now. That's just not going to keep him there. It's not. B.I. and Devontae Graham, those are nice pieces. They can do some good things, but he has to overachieve just to get them to the playoffs. And that's not even this season. I'm talking about as they grow. That's not a good enough team. John Wall helps. He's going to make others better. So that's a hell of a contract. That's a bad investment for a franchise that's struggled keeping players. But you look at what Milwaukee did in bringing in Jrue Holiday. You can say that's a poor man's version of that. You look at what happened with Chris Paul going to Phoenix. You know they want that. They want that because of what we're saying with Kyle Lowry being someone they coveted. So I just think that maybe they should kick the can on John Wall, see what happens. Maybe they'll get that dynamic they're looking for. Yeah, that's what I got, man. My name is BDF44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.